I went back to the year when the psycho villain was at his lowest point. I saw him spend 50 cents to buy half a hot dog to feed a stray cat. The system started screaming, "Host, run. He's the psycho villain who'll imprison you in the future." Imprison me? I laughed coldly. He can't even afford a whole hot dog. The system continued seriously. Don't let his current situation fool you. In 2 years, the Harrison family will take him back as their second son. And he'll control billions in assets. Get you? They'll cause a car accident to kill the male lead, then force you to death. They'll follow you in self-murder, too. I ignored the system's chatter and walked toward the psycho villain. I have cats at home too. Can you help me feed them? 10,000 a month? The psycho villain stayed silent. The system screamed frantically in my ear. What? 10 grand for feeding cats? Host, are you running a charity? Why would a psycho villain do this kind of work? Let me do it instead. I ignored the system and continued tempting the psycho villain. Room and board included. You can sleep in the same room as the cats. Besides feeding the cats, you can do other things. How about it? His hair was a bit long. His skin is sickly pale white. His clothes were so dirty you couldn't tell their original color. Only his eyes stood out, black and bright. His Adam's apple moved slightly as he spoke one word. Okay. I clapped my hands in satisfaction and stood up, looking down at the little white cat in front of him. Bring this one too. I brought the psycho villain and the cat back to my house. As soon as we entered, my 2 cats pounced on my legs. I crouched down to pet them for a while, before remembering the psycho villain. Looking back, he was still standing outside the door. I waved at him.
Come in.
He pressed his lips together and said quietly, "I'll dirty your floor." I found him a pair of new slippers and handed them to him. As soon as he walked in, both cats came over to sniff him. He immediately froze, not daring to move. I grabbed both cats by the scruff of their necks and introduced them. My babies. The ragdoll is Prince and the calico is Night. Then I looked at the one in his arms. Give this cat a name. He spoke slowly. Can I really name it? I raised an eyebrow. You found it. You're responsible. He gently stroked the kitten's head, stayed silent for a while, then said, a name.
Lucky.
I nodded as if I understood and praised. Name? What about you? I asked him. He was slightly stunned before realizing I was asking about him. My name is Ryan. I nodded to show I remembered. Then I commanded the man and cat. You two go take a bath. You need to be squeaky clean before getting on the bed. Ryan obediently carried the kitten to the bathroom. I sat on the couch drinking juice while waiting, with the system chattering in my ear. Host, why did you bring him home? He's a psycho villain. You can still regret this. Kick him out, and let me help you find the male lead. I stared at the bathroom. He seems pretty handsome. The system scoffed. He's nowhere near as handsome as the male lead. It showed me a photo of the male lead. I glanced at it. He was indeed handsome, but not my type. When Ryan came out after his bath, I called him over. I reached out and brushed away the hair from his forehead, finally seeing his face clearly. A pair of seductive peach blossom eyes with a mole at the corner, a high nose bridge, and soft pink lips. I was completely stunned. The system said helplessly, all right, I get it. You're all about looks. I muted the system and admired him a bit longer, until he felt embarrassed under my stare and turned his head away, his ears turning red. I coughed lightly and quickly looked away, telling him go rest. Ryan nodded and went to the room I arranged with the. The next morning, I woke up to see Ryan feeding the cats. 3 cats surrounded him, eating happily. I walked over and petted their heads. Such good babies. Then, out of habit, I reached toward his head, but Ryan suddenly dodged. The system mocked in my ear, see? He won't let you pet him. How could a psycho villain's head be so easy to touch? But the next second, Ryan moved his head back over. I naturally petted him once. It felt amazing. You're a good boy, too. Then I went to cook. Ryan was about to leave while I was cooking, but I called him to eat together. He was stunned for a while before returning to sit in the dining room. I got him a bowl and chopsticks. Eat more. Ryan didn't speak, just buried his head and ate frantically. I hadn't finished one bowl when he was already on his third. The system complained again. He eats so much. Aren't you afraid he'll eat you out of house and home? I smiled while resting my chin on my hand. Why worry? He'll be rich in 2 years. The system collapsed. You're playing with fire, woman. When the male lead gets stolen by the second female lead, you'll regret it. Ridiculous. I'm the female lead. Whoever I choose becomes the male lead. After eating, Ryan consciously went to wash the dishes. He cleaned the entire kitchen, inside and out. When he finished, he stood at the kitchen door and asked, "Can I go out?" I nodded. "Sure, but you need to come back on time to feed the cats." He nodded and left with the trash. I also grabbed a jacket and went out. After graduating college, I opened a hot pot restaurant. Business hasn't been good lately, and it's about to close down. I sighed and asked the system, is 10,000 a month too much? The system ignored me. When I came home that evening, Ryan was already back feeding the cats. I went over to take a look and reached out to pet the cat. After petting the kitten, I reached out to pet Ryan. He didn't refuse. I smiled with satisfaction and pulled out another kitten from behind me. Seeing the cat in my hands, he was stunned. I tossed the cat to him. Just found this one. You're responsible. Ryan held the kitten and cleaned it with skill. Gentle movements. Since it was a baby kitten, it could only drink milk. He got up to prepare formula, then held the kitten to feed it. The kitten obediently stretched out its paws to hold the bottle and drank happily. I couldn't resist reaching out to pet the kitten. Some milk got on my finger, and the kitten stuck out its tongue to lick. It tickled, making me laugh, unconsciously remembering how I petted Ryan's head earlier, and how he didn't seem to mind. So I impulsively reached my finger toward his mouth. Ryan was stunned, his pitch black, bright eyes looking at me. I felt a bit embarrassed and started to pull my finger back, but then Ryan lowered his head next my fingertip. Felt warm and wet. I was stunned for several seconds. He actually licked it. System screamed in my ear again. A host. What are you doing? Is this still a psycho villain? In the original story, he was super suspicious and ruthless. He must be pretending to make you lower your guard. Don't be fooled by him. I straightened up and went back to my room, trying to stay calm. Lying on the bed, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep, doubting whether Ryan was really a psycho. But he seemed so well behaved, and my fingertips still felt the lingering warmth. Just as I closed my eyes, I suddenly heard the door creak open. I could feel him come in step by step. He walked to the bedside and stopped. All my hair stood on end, and I even lightened my breathing. His scent entered my nose. Green grape fragrance. Same as the cat shampoo. It was Ryan. Then he suddenly lowered his head. His cheek nuzzled mine like a kitten. I suddenly opened my eyes and called Ryan. He looked at me and nuzzled again. Ryan, I called again. He suddenly responded meow. I was stunned and almost laughed out loud. He seemed to be sleepwalking. I tentatively asked, what are you doing? Ryan didn't speak, just nuzzled me with his face. I was somewhat amused. He actually thought he was a cat. I couldn't resist reaching out to pet his head. Ryan didn't dodge. Squinting like a kitten and nuzzling my hand with his head, I pinched his face, my fingers sliding to his neck, his collarbone. Ryan lay there obediently letting me touch him, but when my finger slid to his ABS, he suddenly arched his back. He arched his back, a low, rumbling sound vibrating in his chest. It wasn't a growl. It was a purr. My hand froze on his abdominal muscles. They were tense, hard as rock under the thin, worn fabric of his shirt. I held my breath, waiting for the psycho villain to snap my neck. Instead, Ryan rubbed his cheek against my palm again, his eyelashes fluttering against my skin. Meow, he murmured, his voice hoarse and deep, nothing like a cat's, but filled with a terrifyingly confused vulnerability. The system was practically hyperventilating. Host. He's dissociated. This is a trauma response. Get your hand off the future destroy of worlds. I ignored the noise. My heart softened. This wasn't a villain. This was a broken thing seeking warmth. I gently withdrew my hand, pulled the blanket up to his chin, and whispered, "Good kitty. Sleep now." Ryan stopped moving. His breathing evened out. He fell asleep instantly, clutching the corner of my duvet. The next morning, the atmosphere was thick with awkwardness. Ryan was back to being a silent ghost. He avoided my eyes, his ears burning a furious shade of red. He remembered. I apologize for last night, he rasped, staring at his oatmeal. I have episodes. Sometimes. It's fine, I said, sliding a fried egg onto his bowl. You were just acting like Lucky. It was cute. Clang. His spoon hit the bowl. He looked at me, his pitch black eyes widening slightly. Goo. Very. Now eat up. The restaurant is failing, and I need cheap labor. You're coming with me today. My hot pot restaurant, Spicy Paws, was on its last legs. The flavor was good, but the location was terrible. I handed Ryan an apron. It had a cartoon cat on the front. He stared at it for a long minute, his expression unreadable, before tying it around his waist. It cinched his narrow waist perfectly, emphasizing his long legs. Your job is simple, I instructed. Clean tables, serve water, and don't murder anyone. Please murder someone. The system wept. Please get arrested so the host can meet the male lead, Brandon, at the police station. That's the plot. Ryan was surprisingly efficient. He moved silently, anticipating customers' needs before they even asked. But the real change happened when I brought the cats to the shop. I watched from the counter. A college student was trying to coax Lucky out from under a table. Ryan walked over, crouched down, movements fluid and predatory yet gentle, and extended a hand. Lucky hopped onto his shoulder immediately. The student gasped. "He's amazing. And really handsome." She took a picture. By the afternoon, Spicy Paws had gone viral on local social media. Not for the beef tripe, but for the sad, hot cat butler. Business exploded. For 2 weeks, we fell into a rhythm. We worked together, fed the cats together, and walked home together. Ryan was filling out. His skin lost that sickly pallor, replaced by a porcelain glow. His hair, now clean and soft, fell over his eyes in a way that made customers scream internally. He was possessive, though. If a male customer laughed too loud near me, Ryan would appear silently behind them, pouring tea with a dead-eyed stare that made them choke. "He's acting like a guard dog," I muttered one evening, counting the cash register. "He is acting like a psychopath gathering intel," the system corrected. "Look at him. He's reading your ledger." I looked up. Ryan was indeed flipping through my accounting book. "We are losing money on the premium beef," Ryan said softly, not looking up. "The supplier is overcharging you by 15%. I can negotiate it." "You know how to negotiate?" He looked at me then. The darkness in his eyes swirled. "I know how to make people agree." The next day, the supplier called me, sobbing, offering a 30% discount and free delivery. I didn't ask what Ryan did. I just petted his head. He leaned into it, closing his eyes. The peace broke on a rainy Tuesday. A sleek black luxury car pulled up. Out stepped Brandon, the original male lead. He was classically handsome, wearing a suit that cost more than my restaurant, but he had an air of arrogance that made my stomach turn. He came in, wrinkling his nose at the smell of hot pot. "So, this is where you ended up?" Brandon sneered, looking at me. We were college classmates, and in the original script, I was supposed to be pining for him, running a chaotic zoo. The system cheered. Finally, the plot. Swoon, host. Swoon. "Get out if you're not eating," I said coldly. Brandon laughed, reaching out to grab my wrist. "Don't be like that. I heard you're struggling. I can buy this place, turn it into a parking lot, and make you my secretary. It's a generous offer." I opened my mouth to curse him out, but the air in the room suddenly dropped 10 degrees. A hand, pale and long-fingered, clamped onto Brandon's wrist. Ryan stood there. He was wearing his ridiculous cat apron, holding a pot of boiling broth, but he looked like the Grim Reaper. "Let go," Ryan whispered. Brandon scowled, trying to shake him off. "Who is this waiter?" "Let go of me, freak." Ryan didn't move. He didn't blink. He just applied pressure. There was a sickening crunch. Brandon screamed, dropping to his knees. "My wrist. You broke my wrist." "You touched her," Ryan said, his voice void of any human emotion. He tilted his head, watching Brandon writhe like a scientist observing a bug. "I don't like it when dirty things touch my owner." The system shrieked. "Villainy. Pure villainy. Run. Host. He called you his owner, but he looks like he wants to eat everyone." I should have been scared. In the story, Ryan broke people's bones for fun. But standing there, protecting me, he didn't look like a monster. He looked like my monster. "Ryan," I called out softly. He froze. The deadly aura evaporated instantly. He let go of Brandon, who scrambled back, clutching his arm. "He was annoying you," Ryan said to me, his eyes wide and innocent, waiting for praise. "Get out, Brandon," I said, "before he breaks the other one." Brandon fled, vowing revenge. I turned to Ryan. "You can't just break people's bones." Ryan lowered his head, gripping the hem of his apron. "I'm sorry." "Will you throw me out?" I sighed and took the broth from his hand. "No. But no dessert for you tonight." Ryan's lips twitched. A microscopic smile. "Okay." 2 months later, the prophecy began. The Harrison family found him. A convoy of black SUVs surrounded the restaurant. Men in suits marched in, led by a severe-looking old man, Ryan's biological father. They ignored me and went straight to Ryan, who was feeding Lucky some dried fish. "Ryan," the old man barked. "Stop this nonsense. Your brother is sick. The family needs you back. You are the heir now." The system buzzed gloomily. "Here it comes. The awakening. He leaves you, becomes the CEO, and kills everyone. Goodbye, host." Ryan didn't look up. "I'm busy." "Busy." The father looked around in disgust. "Serving soup? We're talking about billions, boy." The Harrison Group. Ryan finally stood up. He wiped his hands on a towel. His posture changed. The submissive, quiet boy vanished. In his place stood a man with a spine of steel and eyes of ice. "I know," Ryan said coolly. "I also know the stock dropped 40% because of your eldest son's gambling debts. You don't need an heir. You need a scapegoat. The father's face went purple. You ungrateful. Grab him. 2 bodyguards lunged. Ryan moved. It was a blur. 2 strikes, efficient and brutal. The guards were on the floor, groaning. Ryan stepped over them, walking up to his father. He was taller than the old man now. I will come back, Ryan said, his voice silky and terrifying. But on my terms. I want 51% of the shares. And I want the head of the board. You're insane. And you're desperate. Ryan turned his back on them. Get out of my shop. You're scaring the cats. They left, defeated. Ryan turned to me. The cold mask cracked slightly. Anxiety leaked through. I have to go with them, he said. For a while. To get your billions? I teased, though my chest felt tight. To build a cage, he said, stepping closer. He reached out, his fingers hovering over my cheek, trembling slightly. A golden cage. Big enough for you. And the cats. So no one can ever threaten you again. I grabbed his hand and pressed it to my face. I don't need a cage, Ryan. I just need you to come home for dinner. His eyes shimmered. He leaned down and kissed my forehead. It was chaste, but it burned like fire. Wait for me. Ryan was gone for 6 months. I saw him on the news. He wasn't the stray cat anymore. He was the Wolf of Wall Street, the ruthless new CEO of the Harrison Group. He dismantled his family's board, sent his corrupt brother to prison, and acquired Brandon's company in a hostile takeover that left my ex-classmate bankrupt. The system was confused. He's doing all the villain things, but he's not kidnapping you. Why isn't he kidnapping you? The plot is broken. Maybe he's busy, I said, watching him on TV. He looked colder, sharper. He wore 3-piece suits and never smiled. But every night, a car would park across the street from my apartment. It would stay there for an hour, then leave. And every morning, fresh flowers and premium cat food were left at my door. One rainy night, the knocking didn't stop at the door. I opened it. Ryan stood there. He was soaked. His expensive suit was ruined. He looked exhausted, bags under his eyes, his hair plastered to his forehead. He looked like the stray I had found in the alley a year ago. Ryan. He didn't speak. He stumbled forward and collapsed into my arms. He was burning up. A high fever. I dragged him to the bed, the same bed where he used to sleep. I stripped off his wet clothes and toweled him dry. He was shivering violently. Host, he mumbled, delirious. I froze. What? His eyes opened, hazy and unfocused. System, shut up. She likes me. My blood ran cold. Ryan. He grabbed my wrist, his grip iron tight even in his fever. I hear it, he whispered, a twisted, feverish smile on his lips. That thing in your head. It tells you to leave me, to find Brandon. He pulled me down, burying his face in my neck. I killed Brandon's future, he murmured into my skin. I destroyed the Harrison timeline. I broke the plot. You can't leave. There's no one else left but me. The system was screaming so loud it was static. He knows. Abort. He's aware. I muted the system. My heart was pounding, not with fear, but with a strange, overwhelming adrenaline. You heard it, I whispered. This whole time. Since the beginning, Ryan rasped. It said I was a psycho. It said I would kill you. He looked up, his eyes lucid and wet. I would burn the world for you, but I would never hurt you. Why did you listen to it? Why didn't you trust me? I did trust you, I said, brushing the wet hair from his forehead. I'm still here, aren't I? Ryan let out a shuddering breath. The tension left his body. He nuzzled my hand, the old habit returning. I bought the neighborhood, he mumbled, closing his eyes. Spicy Paws is safe. You're safe. My owner. 3 years later. Spicy Paws was now the flagship store of a global chain, though I still managed the original location. I sat on the couch in our penthouse, reading a book. 3 cats were piled on my lap. Ryan walked in. He was wearing a casual sweater, looking nothing like the terrifying corporate tycoon the world feared. He carried a tray of cut fruit. He sat on the floor between my legs, resting his head on my knees. Lucky, the cat, hissed at him jealously. Ryan hissed back. Stop fighting with the cat. I laughed, poking his cheek. Ryan captured my finger and kissed it. I win. I'm the favorite. The system had long since given up trying to force the plot. Now, it just occasionally popped up to comment on the stock market or critique Ryan's cooking. The male lead, Ryan, has increased his net worth by another $1 billion today, the system droned lazily. Host, ask him to buy me a server upgrade. Ryan, I said. The voice wants an upgrade. Ryan smiled, that rare, soft smile reserved only for me. Tell it to shut up, or I'll figure out how to delete its code. He turned around, wrapping his arms around my waist, burying his face in my stomach. You're mine, he whispered, the possessiveness still there, dark and sweet. Forever. I stroked his hair, the once psycho villain who had learned to love because someone gave him half a hot dog. Forever, I agreed. He purred. And this time, he wasn't sleepwalking.